The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
And you're going to love it.
Okay, let's go.
Committed to buying and owning Gaza. As far as us rebuilding it, we may give it to other states in the Middle East to build sections of it. Other people may do it through our auspices. But we're committed to owning it, taking it. The place is a demolition site. The remainder will be demolished. Everything's demolished. I mean, you can't live in those buildings right now. They're very unsafe. People can come from all over the world and live there. But we're going to take care of the Palestinians. We're going to make sure they live beautifully and in harmony and in peace and that they're not murdered.
All right, there you have it. DJT coming in hot and super goofy. All right. Happy, what the heck day is it? Thursday. Man, I was about to say Wednesday. Happy Thursday, everybody. All right, let's talk about, man, we got some good stuff to go over today. Okay, I did want to start with that clip. You know, I am, let's see, how do I want to put this? Honestly, I'm incredibly confused at what Trump is doing with this whole Gaza thing. And I'm only going to talk about this for a minute and then we'll move on. But I will tell you, it's just weird. It doesn't make any sense. And it's the one thing, well, the two things so far, and the other one we'll get into in a second in terms of Elon. But it's the two things that, you know, to be honest, I just feel like have tarnished what otherwise is some really good stuff that he's done. And again, I'm going to give him credit where credit is due. I'll start off by saying, you know, I do like the underlying concept of this DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency or whatever. I will say I don't like that Vivek is not involved any longer. It's become the Elon Show. And, you know, the problem is these guys, they have no finesse game and they really are doing huge things in a positive way. I will say there's so much waste, fraud, and abuse, and I'm going to play the Jon Stewart clip here in a minute. But there is so much waste, fraud, and abuse in our government. That's amazing. Let's get rid of all that. I don't care who complains about that. And quite frankly, anybody that complains about it on the Democrat or Republican side, you know they're on the take and you know they're probably benefiting from it. So I'm 100%, you know, supportive of that. You know, the problem is, again, they have no finesse game. Like they don't take the time to explain things properly. Instead, what happens is they do something that otherwise could be deemed incredibly good, but then the way they explain it or the way it's viewed through these clips, you know, makes things look awful. And I'll give you an example and I'll play something for you. But the other day, Elon and his little son X, which, I mean, the fact that he named the kid X is another discussion, but Elon and X are at the White House in the Oval Office. Trump is sitting behind the Oval Office desk. And then X at some point is like, he's on Elon's shoulders while Elon is fielding questions from the press. My favorite part was he was like by Trump's desk and, you know, as every kid does, he's just digging in his nose for gold. And they didn't capture this on camera, but I made a joke about it on social media. But it probably was the first time when a little kid is like wiping his boogers on the president's desk. It did not get captured on camera, but I'm actually hoping that little X did wipe his boogers on like underneath Trump's desk. That'll be hilarious. And then one day when Trump's like fiddling around under his desk, he like scrapes off crusty boogers. That's just ridiculous. Like the whole visual of Elon, his son, and Trump in the Oval Office, it was just ridiculous. And, you know, it just defeats the purpose. Well, actually, I shouldn't say it doesn't defeat the purpose, but it gives their opposition so much ammunition. And so now here's where the Trump worship people will be like, oh, who cares? All that matters is we root out the waste, fraud, and corruption. And who cares if he's rubbing his boogers on the desk? And I love the fact that he brought his son there. It's like, dude, no, you don't. You don't love the fact that he did that. And I'll tell you why. And here is, honestly, this is the best thing to always do. And that is you do that role reversal stuff. So imagine Biden at his desk and then Hunter with one of Hunter's kids in the White House, in the Oval Office with his dad, and he's like fielding questions. And like Hunter's kid or who, a Biden grandson is, standing next to the Oval Office and they're taking questions about serious matter. All these Republicans that are, supporting this, they would go crazy. And so to me, when you do that little role reversal, and if you know you'd have a reaction, then you know that you really know what's right and what's wrong in that situation. And again, if you did not see this, I mean, just remember, this is the President of the United States in the Oval Office.
X, are you okay? This is X, and he's a great guy, high IQ.
And again, if you don't know, X is 4 years old. And I love how Trump is like, this is X, great guy. Great guy, high IQ.
This is X, and he's a great guy, high IQ. He's a high IQ individual. We had no idea we were going to find this, including the woman that walked away with about 30 million.
I'm going to cut that clip there, but that was a perfect example. So there is a woman, I think her name is Susan Miller. Hold on, or Samantha Miller. Hold on, let me look. I'm sorry, Samantha Power, and she's the former administrator of one of the USAID programs that we talked a little bit about the other day. But basically, they were talking about how during her, only a few years there, 3 years, during her 3 years working there, her net worth on a $180,000 a year salary went up from $6.7 million to $30 million. So they're saying, hey, you worked in this job for 3 years, you made $180K a year. How did your net worth go up $23 million? Now that's an incredibly valid, that's a valid thing to look into. But the problem was they said that, and that important statement completely got lost with X's boogers. And so like, that's the stuff that is it's just insane to me how they don't get this, they don't see I don't know if it's the optics or what. It just doesn't make sense. Like they're not approaching this the right way, because if they do approach it the right way, honestly, you can't poke a hole in it. You cannot poke a hole in uncovering millions to billions to potentially trillions of dollars of waste, fraud, and abuse. If you do that the right way, everyone will be on your side. And if they're not on your side, then they're just haters for it. All right, I do want to play you one more clip from that little press conference. And the only reason I'm playing this is because, again, you have to call a spade with all of this stuff. And so this speaks to, really, it speaks to that creation of narratives, and it's going to play into the second thing I want to talk about. But Elon and Trump came out, I think it was last week, and they said, look, we've uncovered $50 million worth of condoms being sent to Gaza. And so that became a big press story. It became a huge, look at, we're supporting, condoms to Gaza, and they're terrorists, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? Well, it turns out the condoms that were sent to a city called Gaza in Mozambique, not the one in Israel.
Musk, you said on X that an example of the fraud that you have cited was $50 million of condoms was sent to Gaza. But after fact-check this, it apparently Gaza in Mozambique, and the program was to protect them against HIV. So can you correct the statements? It wasn't sent to Hamas, actually. It was sent to Mozambique, which makes sense why condoms was sent there.
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that all the statements that you said were correct, so we can trust what you say?
So that was the BBC reporter basically saying, hey, you came out with this huge statement on X and you were wrong. So what are you going to do about it? Now listen to his response. And again, this is kind of the stuff that I think is sloppy.
Musk, you said on X that an example of the fraud that you have cited was $50 million of condoms was sent to Gaza. But after fact-check this, it apparently Gaza in Mozambique, and the program was to protect them against HIV. So can you correct the statements? It wasn't sent to Hamas, actually. It was sent to Mozambique, which makes sense why condoms was sent there.
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that all the statements that you said were correct, so we can trust what you say?
All right, so clearly she called him out on it. And now here's his response, and this is what I don't like. Because again, you can't be sloppy at this level, okay? You can't be sloppy at this level. And the other thing is, you can't be sloppy when you've got half of the country that's not happy right now. And that's the truth. Half of the country is not happy. And they're looking for things to basically, you know, pick on and things to throw at you. So listen to what he says.
Well, first of all, some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. So nobody's going to bat 1,000. I mean, we will make mistakes, but we'll act quickly to correct any mistakes.
I don't like that. Some of the things I said and will say will be incorrect. That's not appropriate. That is absolutely not appropriate. And then the other thing is, he said, you know, when we will make mistakes, but we'll act quickly to correct them. No, that's a lie, because he didn't act to correct the Gaza thing until she called him out on it, until this BBC reporter called him out on it. And so had that not happened, let's say that BBC reporter wasn't at that, you know, press event, then they just got away last week with basically making everybody think, making the average American think that we sent $50 million worth of condoms to Hamas and Gaza. And that's going to fuel that fire, you know, that's going to fuel that hate machine for that entity. And so the question you have to ask yourself is, you know, did they do that on purpose? I honestly, I don't think people at this level should make these type of mistakes. They really shouldn't, because that $50 million condom thing not only was said by Elon, not only was it said by Trump, not only was it said by that new press secretary, Carolyn Levitt or whatever, then you had all of the media pundits basically, you know, echoing that sound clip. So think about it. There were probably 1 billion impressions of that made to the consumer and to people. And they're not going to be undone. You know what I mean? Like this little correction that it's Gaza in Mozambique. I don't even know how many people will have ever heard it. You probably did not hear that correction. If you did hear, you know, the original 50 million in condoms of Gaza, I'm curious, did you realize that they made a mistake and it was Gaza and Mozambique? Probably not. All right, let's listen to the rest.
You know, if I'm not sure we should be sending $50 million worth of condoms to anywhere, frankly. I'm not sure that's something Americans would be really excited about. And that is really an enormous number of condoms, if you think about it. But you know, if it went to Mozambique instead of Gaza, I'm like, okay, that's not as bad, but still, you know, why are we doing that?
All right, now that's a fair statement. Why are we sending $50 million worth of condoms, and that is a lot of condoms, to Mozambique, you know? So that's fair. So anyway, my point is, again, you've got to take everything that you hear, if you are on the Trump, Elon Republican side or the Democrat, non-Trump, non-Elon side, again, just do not take everything for face value and try to, maybe apply a little bit of critical thinking for sure, but then also recognize that for those of you that are, super supportive of everything that's going on. And again, I am too. I'm not supportive of everything that's going on, but I am supportive of a lot of the stuff they're doing. But again, the problem to me is it's getting lost and it's not, or it's getting diluted. Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. It's getting diluted because of like dumb stuff like this. All right, the last thing I just want to end on, I'm going to dive into this much more, but the way Trump is acting in regards to Gaza, where he's really being a bully. He really is. He's being a big time bully, and he's pretty much saying, we're going to take the land. We're going to displace the Palestinians. Oh, we're going to make a much better home for them somewhere else. It's not a good look, and it's not good optics, and it's not a good vibe, and it's just weird. It's weird. And so I'm going to plant this seed with you, but I will research this a lot more and get back to you with just a more clear way to talk about it. But I will say he did receive $100 million in campaign financing donations from Miriam Adelson. He is rumored to have received in total $256 million from AIPAC. That's the big Israeli lobby organization. Now, I don't know if that 256 includes Miriam Adelson's 100 million. If it does, that makes a little more sense. If it doesn't, now we're talking about $356 million. So if those entities contributed that much to his reelection campaign, there's going to be expectations that come from that. That is quid pro quo written all over it. And that is not just free money. And so I think what we're seeing right now in terms of what he's saying about Gaza has to do with that. It has to do with supporting really this greater Israel project. And we'll talk about this more in another episode. But again, my point is, it's coming off very strange. It's coming off very goofy. The optics are terrible. He doesn't even really seem comfortable when he talks about it, but he is talking about it, and he's being very assertive about it. And it's absolutely the opposite direction of the way he was during his campaign, where basically he pretty much, won over the Arab American vote because of his empathy that he was showing to the Palestinian people in Gaza. And now that's totally out the window. And so it absolutely has to do with, basically paying them back for all those campaign donations. But anyway, we'll get into that a little bit more in another episode. All right, next up, I want to play you this 45-second clip. So the 9/11 JFK assassination, Robert Kennedy assassination, Martin Luther King assassination, and supposedly the Epstein files, these are supposedly getting released here pretty soon. Or I shouldn't say pretty soon, but they have revved up like the fact that they now have gone to committee, and long story short, we're going to get the truth on all this stuff. I do not think we will. I really don't. And we'll, in another episode, we'll kind of go topic by topic and talk about, what the truths really should be. We'll give a couple of the best, I guess, researched explanations that obviously have not been corroborated by these government files that are going to get released, but we'll go over that. But fundamentally, give a listen to this. This is a good 45-second summary of really some of the weird stuff from 9/11. And I've played this stuff before, kind of in piecemeal, but this clip did a nice job of, accumulating a few of these.
Questions you're not allowed to ask. Why did the owner of the World Trade Center get maximum insurance against terrorist attacks 6 weeks prior to 9/11? Why did the owner have breakfast in the towers every morning except for September 11th? Why was there an unidentified group of short cells purchased against airline companies right before the attacks? Why was every passenger incinerated in the explosion but the terrorist passport somehow survived? Why was CNN already there before the attacks with a camera crew ready to film? Why was a report published a year before 9/11 by politicians in George W. Bush's administration saying they needed to aggressively expand military power worldwide, but they need a, quote, catalyzing Pearl Harbor level event in order to gain public support?
All right, those are a lot of good questions, and I love the end where he said, and there was this report. Gosh, I think I talked about it once. It's called the Project for the New American Century. I'm gonna get that. You know what I'll do? I think it's like a 95 or 100 page PDF document. I have it downloaded. I'll throw that into that Notebook LM feature and see what it comes up with. But anyway, I like that. You know, they needed a catalyzing event like Pearl Harbor in order to gain public support. And that's exactly what 9/11 did. And again, we've talked about it before, but I'm going to reinforce it. That led to the 20-year forever war in Iraq and Afghanistan. It led to trillions of dollars going into the military-industrial complex. Well, it is in America. It led to, over 1 million innocent Iraqi civilians being killed. I mean, that's insane. That really is insane when you think of the ramifications of doing something like that, let alone, the fact that all of the 2,300 or close to 3,000, innocent Americans died in 9/11 that day. And quite frankly, just the fact that those two beautiful, beautiful buildings collapsed. I mean, those things were just, they were wonders of the world. All right. Anyway, let's see what comes out with this stuff. They have really set a big expectation about giving us the truth in regards to JFK, RFK, MLK, 9/11, all of that. I don't think it's going to happen, man. And I think it's going to backfire. I really do. I think it's going to backfire because honestly, there's enough stuff out there that people are not going to put up with, like, getting some type of bullshit answer and getting some type of, like, for example, with JFK, I bet you they're going to pin it on either the mob, the Italian mob, or they'll say it was the Cubans or some rogue group associated with Cuba and kind of try to pin it on that. Now, just so you know, the only two viable stories on JFK getting assassinated, one is it was the CIA, and it was a group basically backed by Lyndon B. Johnson, who was the vice president at the time and who ended up obviously becoming president. And it was their doing because JFK wanted to pull out of Vietnam. And by pulling out of Vietnam, you cut off the spigot to the military-industrial complex. I mentioned this last week as well. Remember, Dwight D. Eisenhower, in his outgoing speech when he handed over the presidency to John F. Kennedy, he said, beware of the military-industrial complex. It's either that, or the second thing is it was the Israeli Mossad acting on behalf of then Prime Minister and founder of Israel, David Ben-Gurion, because John F. Kennedy and R.F. Kennedy, by the way, the two of them, the two brothers, they had two things they stood firm on. One, not allowing Israel to have nuclear weapons. And then two, they wanted to make Israel register as a foreign agent in the country, not Israel, but the Israeli lobby at the time, the precursor to what today is AIPAC. And so, the other tremendously researched and, well-discussed theory is it was because JFK was going to do that, and that would severely handcuff Israel. They wouldn't be able to have nuclear weapons. And then secondly, with having to register as a foreign entity, they wouldn't be able to do campaign donations, so that would limit their influence over our politicians. So that's the other theory. The other theory is that it was Mossad that basically killed JFK and then killed RFK in order to hinder, or in order for those things not to go into effect. So I think with those two, anything besides one of those two being said is the truth, people are going to not believe it and they're going to kind of go nuts about it. All right, let's see. What else? I can't let you guys off the hook this easy. I got some more things I want to talk about. Oh, the Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl halftime thing. Okay, I've read like a billion things about this, and man, I'm telling you, there were a lot of like diabolical signs and nuggies that he dropped during that performance. But you know what? There were just way too many to go through. And quite frankly, I don't know if anybody really cares that much. But here's the net of it. And that is, it was not as simple as this is boring or this is super fun. Just know that. And then the Serena Williams being a part of it and him doing Not Like Us, that was basically the final nail in Drake's coffin. So anyway, all right, that's enough on that. Oh my God, I forgot to tell you guys this. This happened about a week ago. This is actually pretty hilarious. So I got a knock on the door, random like Tuesday or Wednesday. And I check my camera first of all and see who's at the door. And it's like this older gentleman, this older white gentleman, and then this older black lady. So I was like, oh, that's an interesting combination. Let's see what they're selling. So I opened the door and they were Jehovah's Witnesses. Shouldn't be laughing. Now, normally Jehovah's Witnesses, I don't know if they've ever knocked on your door, but you know, obviously, I think most people don't really, I don't know, engage with them, but they knocked on the wrong door because, you know, your boy started peppering. I mean, I started peppering them with questions because I'm super interested about Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't really know much about them collectively. And so, oh my God, we probably had a 15 to 20 minute conversation standing at my front door. I should have invited them in, actually. I mean, I kept them standing long enough, but anyway, it was interesting. I had like a 15, 20, it might have been a 20-minute conversation. I asked them all these questions. I asked them their opinion on, you know, what's going on in Gaza. I asked them their opinion on Christian Zionism. I asked them their opinion on Netanyahu. I asked them their opinion on, you know, evangelical Christians, all these evangelical preachers like Joel Osteen and John Hagee and all these guys. Oh my God, it was so funny. And then we ended it with, I said, hey, listen, can you hook me up with somebody from your church and I'll bring them on the podcast? And so I'm waiting to hopefully hear from a representative of, I don't know, whatever church they belong to here in Orange County. And we'll have a Jehovah's Witness rep on the podcast explaining what that is. It was actually interesting. They gave me a little pamphlet. It says, Awake, a World in Turmoil, How You Can Cope. And it's actually pretty interesting. I'm going to go through it a little more in depth and maybe I'll report back on some of the things it says. But anyway, I have a feeling they walked away from from my house thinking, oh my God, this guy's crazy. Thought I'd share that. That was pretty funny. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if I talked about this before, not that this has anything to do with Jehovah's Witnesses, but it actually involves 1/3 of the show is about the Mormon religion. That's another group that I'm very interested in, and I think it would be fascinating to truly understand, you know, their perspective on things. But there's a show on Netflix, American Primeval, or Primeval. That second word is weird how they pronounce it, but American Primeval. It's really good. It's on Netflix, and it kind of talks about, I think I talked about this already, but it talks about it was really the initial founding days of America, and through the eyes of 3 different factions, the Native American Indians, the Mormons, and then I guess like the U.S. government, the United States government at the time. So anyway, really good show. Very gory though. I'm just warning you. It's hardcore in terms of the killing and all that. But like I said, it's definitely good. All right, we're coming up on 30 minutes. I do want to end with playing you this clip. I don't know why. I saw this earlier this week, and man, it just really like resonated with me. And it's the story of a guy named Richard Russell. And so Richard Russell was also known as the Sky King. And basically, he was a Horizon Air ground service agent, and he stole a Bombardier Q400 turboprop plane from Seattle-Tacoma International Airport on August 10th, 2018. Without any formal pilot training, he managed to take off and perform aerial maneuvers over Puget Sound while being pursued by military jets. During the flight, he communicated with air traffic control in a calm and often humorous manner, expressing admiration and beauty of the area, but also revealing his personal struggles. After flying for about an hour, Russell deliberately crashed the plane on Ketron Island in Washington State, dying in the crash. Authorities ruled his actions a suicide, and the incident raised concerns about airport security and insider threats, but it also gained national attention in terms of somebody dealing with, sadness and mental health issues. And anyway, I don't know, man, it really resonated with me, and I want to play for you it's about a 3-minute clip, but listen to it. I think it's worth listening to because it just really speaks to like somebody that, he doesn't come off crazy in this. He just comes off like, I don't know if it's lonely because he also was married and it sounds like he had a lot of loving people in his life. But anyway, I don't know. It just really resonated with me, and it made me realize that, who knows, man? Who knows what somebody's going through? And we all, myself definitely included, we all go through our own things. And so maybe by, listening to things like this, I feel like it can shift our energy back toward a good place. Because honestly, right now, I feel like the country, if not the world, definitely the country, probably more in the United States than anywhere, our cumulative energy as a nation is just so negative, and it's so divided, and it's so combative that it's just causing people to, I don't know, maybe go to places they normally wouldn't go to. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know how this would help change that. But anyway, if nothing else, it hopefully makes you just realize and think about how precious life is. And quite frankly, how maybe, if there are things that you need to talk about, find somebody to talk about it with. And I'm always there for that. All right, give this a listen. Call a spade a spade.
Right now, and just kind of soaring around.
449, are you not supposed to be on that aircraft?
Yeah. I did a kind of a bad thing, kind of a selfish thing, but it's all good. I'm gonna go check out Rainier.
Yeah, 449. So you hijacked the plane, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm afraid I did.
What the hell?
Holy shit.
Oh my God.
It's a fucking Alaska Airlines Q400. What the fuck is he doing over here?
Any idea if a Dash 8 Q400 can do a barrel roll?
Just flying the plane around, you seem comfortable with that?
Oh, hell yeah, it's a blast, man. I played video games before, so I know what I'm doing a little bit. Nah, everything's peachy clean. Just did a little circle around Rainier. It's beautiful, beautiful. I think I got some gas to go check out the Olympics. And, yeah.
Well, if you can see the Olympics, the weather's good. I can see the Olympics through my window, and it looks pretty good over there.
All right, because I hit some, felt like turbulence around right here, but there was no clouds hardly.
Oh, that's just the wind blowing over all the bumpy surfaces there.
I got a lot of people that care about me, and it's going to disappoint them to hear that I did this. I would like to apologize to each and every one of them. Just a broken guy. Got a few screws loose, I guess. Never really knew it until now. I'm going to land it, like in a safe kind of manner. I think I'm going to try to do a barrel roll, and if that goes good, I'll just go nose down and call it a night.
Well, Rich, before you do that, let's think about this. I got another pilot coming up, Pilot Joel, here in just a minute or two, I hope, and we'll be able to give you some advice on what to do next.
Particular Rockford 1, POI 1 just completed a barrel roll. Rock 1 2 confirmed he did a barrel roll. Affirmed he cleared the surface of the water by approximately 10 feet. Put Rock 2 from Rock 1, and the POI 1 did a barrel roll and just barely missed hitting the water.
All right, Rich, this is Captain Bill. Congratulations, you did that. Now let's try to land that airplane safely and not hurt anybody on the ground.
All right. Nah, damn it. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't want to. I was kind of hoping that was going to be it, you know? For long, I feel like one of my engines is going out or something. Just a broken guy.
One of my most viral videos was about the Sky King, Richard Russell. Reading through the comments, I realized that many people don't really know his story. So I decided to bring you a little more about who he was and what happened on that unforgettable day in 2018. It's a story of beauty, freedom, and heartbreak, a tale that continues to captivate the world. This is the story of Richard Russell, the Sky King. On August 10th, 2018, Richard Russell, a 28-year-old ground service agent at Seattle-Tacoma Airport, made an unimaginable choice that left the world in shock. Known to friends and family as a kind and adventurous man, Richard had dreams of serving others, whether through his small-town bakery or his degree in social sciences. But behind his friendly demeanor, he carried a weight that few saw. That evening, Richard climbed aboard an empty Horizon Air Q400, a plane he had worked around for years but had never piloted. At 7:33 p.m., he took off into the sky. Despite having no formal flight training, he flew with surprising skill. In the air, he marveled at the beauty of Mount Rainier and the vastness of the Pacific Northwest. "These guys are gorgeous," he said, his voice filled with awe, but his radio conversations revealed a man battling inner turmoil. "I'm just a broken guy," he confessed. Richard performed a breathtaking barrel roll, a feat that left many wondering how he managed it. But this wasn't a joyride, it was a journey of pain and reflection. After 73 minutes in the air, the plane crashed on Ketron Island, taking only his life. Richard's story is both tragic and poignant. While his actions raised questions, they also reminded the world of the silent battles many face. Today he is remembered not just as Sky King, but as a human being, flawed, yearning, and seeking peace.
That was a great way to end it.
This episode was brought to you by the new book, Deep Shallow Dive Into You, available now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble in hardcover and paperback. Don't forget to sign up for our new mailing list on our website at deepshallowdive.com.